Full disclosure, I don't know how long I'm going to last in this corset. I am wearing it because I'm trying to work on my posture, and also, additionally, it is gorgeous. Hello, Dish Grace. It has been a while. As you've already gathered, I shift around what I'm doing on this channel very, very often. We've done drawing, we've done reading, we've done gardening, and if you watch my streams or my other clips and stuff, you know that I've gotten into nails. Pretty much I went down the cat eye gel pipeline. I saw a cat eye and I was like, wow, I want that. So I bought a polished version, like a lacquer polish version, and it just didn't hit the same way that gel polish does. And now I'm surrounded by every tool you could possibly need to do Gel X nails. I have not done my nails in probably 2 or 3 weeks, maybe more, because the first few times I did them, I didn't really know what I was doing, and I burned my nail beds. I damaged them when I was removing the gel nails. And as those early pieces have like started to grow out, my nails have just really been, they just break off constantly. Like this nail is so short now. So my nails are finally to the point where I can do them again. And I have done them on stream before, but this time I'd really like to just sit with you guys. And this is probably going to end up being a really long video of just doing nails and yapping. Apologies if at any point you can't see what I'm doing on my phone. I have a habit of like pulling them really close, almost completely out of view. You know what? Maybe I should just... Oh yeah, you're much more likely going to be able to see what I'm doing if I put my phone there. Okay, cool. So I guess I could give you guys some updates on gardening first. I have upkept my yard, the backyard at least. We had some crazy fires. I think it was last month. Crazy high winds as well. And the front yard, if you can even call it that, the front dirt patch is just like completely filled with leaves, and I haven't found the willpower to go out there and fix it and to clean up the leaves. So I really haven't touched the front yard in a bit. And as the weather has gotten colder, not that cold, but just changing the weather, changing the vibes, you know. I have definitely struggled with something I struggle with almost every year, just a bout of seasonal depression. So my desire to go out and be active has definitely lessened, but it's just a phase. I know it is, and I have found other things to fill my time with. I fell in love with a game called Infinity Nikki that came out in December. It is just everything I have been hoping for so long, not just in the gaming space, but just as a girl who grew up playing, you know, dress up Flash games and playing Barbie and Polly Pocket and all that stuff. And someone who has acquired a taste for open world games. It's just, that has been wonderful. Oh, I needed that. Holy crap. My cuticles are crying and screaming for help right now. And also, as a surprise appearance, I have gotten completely addicted to a game called Marvel Rivals, which is basically like an Overwatch clone, but Marvel. And I got into it. I started playing it because my husband loves comic books and loves superheroes. And I was like, yeah, I'll try it with you. Turns out I love it. I'm a Mantis main, trying to break out of just being only comfortable with 1 or 2 characters, because I do want to be able to fill when necessary. And I think that's going to be the difference between me being forever stuck in Gold 2 and getting into Platinum Diamond. So I may just start an alt account so I can grind and get comfortable with other characters without sacrificing or risking games with my queue mates and stuff. So that's what's been going on the gaming side. I'm pretty much running my garden at minimum capacity, keeping the plants that will stay alive, and just enjoying the cozy Christmas time. And actually, the reason that I wanted to do this is because I recently saw, and by recently I mean last night, went to go see A Great Unknown, which is the Bob Dylan, not necessarily origin story, but more like, it's tough because Bob Dylan is such a prolific and has such a long story, so many chapters of his life and career, that this is really just, it's really just touching the surface to give you a glimpse and give you something of an explanation of regarding why Bob Dylan is so important and was so important in his early days, at least. But there's so many more stories to tell, so I'm not exactly sure how to categorize. For those of you who are familiar with Bob Dylan's career, it is the story of how he got to New York, and all the events that led to Bob Dylan Goes Electric. And I knew the story somewhat. I knew his rise. I knew that he rose in folk music and then got very mixed responses from his existing crowd when he shocked the world with an electric guitar performance, which in folk music is, you know, it's sacrilege. It's abandoning everything that is good and pure and holy, you know, about just a one-man show with an acoustic guitar. So I knew the story on the surface level, and I knew that it was significant, but this movie did such an incredible job of capturing and exploring so many facets of why that mattered for Bob Dylan and for creative people everywhere, people with visions and people with goals and dreams and man, I don't even know where to start. I guess I'll just start with my history. I first listened to Bob Dylan, I don't know, first time I can remember was in the car on some road trip. I was probably like 10. My dad played him, and the only thought I could really muster was, I don't know why anyone would listen to someone who sounds like that. And a lot of people don't listen to Bob Dylan or don't, a lot of people my age and a lot of people younger don't listen to him because he sounds the way he sounds. You know, no one's necessarily listening to Bob for his voice of an angel, you know. It's always been his storytelling. But anyway, that's when I first heard him. And I listened to him a bit more, not intentionally, but just as a byproduct of my parents, who both appreciated him, and my dad listened to Bob Dylan because of his dad. And I didn't really acquire a taste for his music until I was 20... Was I 21? Yeah, 21. And it was the first time that I went through a real heartbreak. And by that I mean a breakup that I didn't want at the time. And one that was left me kind of wandering. And my dad did two things for me. He told me to listen to Blood on the Tracks by Bob Dylan. And he showed me a movie called Fandango, which is Kevin Costner's first film. It's kind of a coming of age. It's a great movie. It's incredibly underrated. It's about a group of college kids who just graduated. And essentially all of their, without spoiling anything, all of their paths are diverging. So they go on one last road trip to Mexico to get Dom, and I won't tell you what that means either. And it's kind of a quirky movie. It's really comedic as well. So I think that might be why it's kind of written off. But it's wonderful, and it's exactly what I needed. Bob Dylan, Blood on the Tracks was also exactly what I needed, because I was at this point where, and I think this album helped me realize, it wasn't just losing the person that hurt. It was losing this version of myself and version of my life that I thought was it. I could not envision a better or more correct path forward for me. It was everything that I thought I wanted at the time. And so the breakup was such a kind of earth-shattering experience for me, because it was probably the first time that I really not realized, well, maybe. It's something I knew in theory, but had never really experienced. Not to this degree. Just because you want something bad enough doesn't mean you're going to get it. Just because you've convinced yourself that something is right and correct doesn't mean that it is, first of all, and doesn't mean that you'll get it or you'll keep it. And I needed those lyrics to help guide me through the mud that I was in and the isolation that I felt at that time and the confusion that I felt. I thought my life was set for me. You know, I was going to graduate. I was going to work a bit longer at my retail job, and then me and so were going to get married and get a house, and he was going to work his redacted job, and that was going to be it, you know, and I was going to deal with his horrible friends. We just got off on the wrong foot. I think that's what it comes down to. I was very shy and nervous. I was also younger than everyone. I was the youngest person. Well, not exactly. It was two older guys, and I was the girlfriend of one. Another girl was the girlfriend of the other. We were both younger, but I guess I'm just the shy type. I was nervous, so a lot of pressure, and I think I just got off on the wrong foot with my ex's bestie, and he never let me recover from it. I even went out of my way to try to I met up with him, and I was like, hey, you don't like me. Why? And I have blocked out most of the things that he said, because ultimately it was a waste of breath for us both. Hopefully no one who knows either of us ever hears that. Back to Bob Dylan. I felt a great sense of catharsis from his lyrics, and I really felt myself, my internal world expanding. And the way that he writes it's just like poetry, musical poetry. It's a shame I can't play music during this, but the DMCA would rather see my head on a spike than let me play Bob Dylan on a YouTube video. So I can't do that. So that was my first encounter with Bob Dylan, and then, you know, once the Pandora's box was opened, I absorbed more and more of his music, crossing through his various genres. And his music has helped me so much through my career. There's this one song in particular called Idiot Wind. And one thing you have to know about Bob Dylan is that he creates these melodies and he creates these stories and songs, and then he recreates them. For example, Idiot Wind, I think, has 5 or 6 versions of the song, and it's not just different arrangements. It's different words. It's different tones. totally different tones, different speed. I don't even know all the technical terms to really describe it, but he just keeps recreating. And I think I'd heard the original Idiot Wind before, but I listened to, I think it's Bootleg album number 4. There's a few amazing, amazing tracks. I would listen to Idiot Wind Take 4 with organ overdub, and a spoken word bit. Especially if you watch the movie, you will love a spoken word, or no, I think it's just a poem that he wrote, a long poem that he wrote called Last Thoughts on Woody Guthrie. Oh, I cry almost every time I listen to it. Bob Dylan has been a pillar of inspiration for me in the thousands of artistic efforts that I have tried. Writing, journaling, video, essay, photography, hidden small piece of lore that most people don't know. My first time being on social media and being like a social media person was a photography account that I had back in like 2015. And my account gained like 2,000 followers, which was a lot at the time. I panicked and I didn't know what to do, and I ended up just deleting the account. I wonder what would have happened if I had kept it. Would that have been the account that eventually turned into Dish? I wonder about that sometimes. Oh no, I drew blood. No! I told myself I was never going to be reckless with these. Oh no. Well, no, I did draw blood. Okay, I need to clean this. Pause. It's already been 20 minutes and I'm still on step 1? Oh gosh. How on earth am I going to upload this monstrous video? I think that's good enough nail prep for me. I don't do full cuticle removal just because I feel like it's a bit too risky for at home. And I don't want any diseases. I don't want my finger to turn green and fall off, so I don't do that. Me and my mom and my dad got to see Bob Dylan in concert a few years back at the Santa Barbara Bowl. He was fantastic. Honestly, better than I thought he was going to be. He did a few new arrangements. He did this arrangement of Not Dark Yet that just had me in shambles, had me in tears. So all that to say, Bob Dylan has meant so much to me personally. It's meant, connection with my father. It's meant catharsis and inspiration, and just a kindred spirit, and someone who truly chose to be himself and do what he thought was right in spite of backlash. So when the movie started, first of all, Timothée Chalamet, I have seen him in a lot of movies. He completely disappeared into this role. He was a great Paul Atreides. He was a great, I want to say Gil because I'm watching Anne of Green Gables. Laurie of Little Women. He did a great job in both of those roles, but oh my, he was made and born for this role in particular. And the first 20 minutes of the movie, I just had tears in my eyes, and it was sniffling, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful intro, visiting Woody Guthrie in the hospital. But just, I have been preaching the Bob Dylan gospel for as long as I have been a content creator. I have sat and forced my chat to listen to an entire 8-minute song just because I'm like, I talk about Bob Dylan, and sometimes people say they don't know who he is. And to some degree, I can't blame them, because his voice isn't necessarily one that, transcends time as far as melodic quality. I do think he is an acquired taste. Folk music is an acquired taste, at least in the modern age. Okay, I'm getting a little scissor happy. I need to stop. So the the profundity of seeing Bob Dylan, a portrayal of Bob Dylan, his story being told on the big screen with an actor who is as important and loved and respected as Timothée Chalamet is right now. There's so much mass public appeal. It was just so... I'm so glad, and I hope people who love Bob Dylan will love this movie. People who don't know a thing about Bob Dylan, I hope will go see this movie. Even if you're just going to see it because you love Timothée Chalamet, please go listen to the Bob Dylan gospel, I'm begging you. Timothée Chalamet, huge kudos to him. He killed it. He absolutely killed it. He was about as Bob Dylan as someone could be without actually being the man himself. So I believe that this movie will be one that lasts through the ages. I think it will cause another resurgence of Bob Dylan fans. And his discography is just, it's almost unmatched. And people say they haven't heard of Bob Dylan. Well, maybe you haven't heard him, but you've heard his songs. You have heard his song. To Make You Feel My Love was written by Bob Dylan. I'll just let you discover how many songs that were written and recorded by Bob first and popularized by others. I think he's written over 1,000 songs that we know of. His entire collection recently sold to someone, which is just what a treasure to have. What a treasure. Okay. All right, let me take a minute to talk about what I'm going to do with my nails. I want to do kind of like a wintry blue with some cat eye. So I also have blooming gel here. I'm going to be honest, I don't know how to use it. I don't know what I would use it for, but I think I'm going to go really simple, just like a solid blue. Maybe solid blue with a blue cat eye on top, and then like a frost of cat eye at the tip of the nail. And I'm going to be doing almond shape as well. Stop. I do have a little LED lamp that will make my life a bit easier. I always go too big on my middle finger. So I need to not do that this time. Okay, that'll work for the middle. And for pointer, 4 is too big. Maybe 5. Five is perfect. Pinke. It's too big. That feels weird. It feels weird. That's too small. Is this 7? Nope. That will do. With courses, you kind of got to take shallow breaths. It's too small. Okay, it's got to be 5. Okay, nails selected. Well, let's get to work. So yeah, part of the reason my current process is much less damaging is because I use a latex base now. So not across the entire nail, but I use latex in the middle. I always spill this, I'm gonna run out. I use latex in the middle, and then I use a base coat around the edges, and I find that that's the perfect mix of nails that last, but I can still peel them off when I'm done with them with minimal damage to my actual nail. This burns. The latex gets so hot. Holy crap. So I do this much slower now. Save myself the trouble. I think I'm most connected with the movie, with this phase in my life, with just watching people keep putting Bob Dylan in a box. First, they refused to let him sing his own songs and said, "You're a new talent. You're gonna carry on the folk tradition, and you're gonna sing some old songs that everybody knows, right? That are well respected in the folk community." And then he started singing his own songs, and they realized, oh, you know what? Bob Dylan's actually an incredible writer. He's the next generation of folk. He's the face of folk. He's the savior, the hero of folk music. He's the one who's going to bring folk to the masses. And he did do that in a lot of ways. They put him in that box and they try to keep him there. And you can watch Bob and see him through the movie. He even says at the beginning, "What kind of music do you like?" "I like all kinds." For Bob Dylan, it was never just, his objective was never folk music. It was music. It was storytelling. It was artistic expression. It was honesty. And, he's a very blunt person, so, telling the truth, even if it's hard to hear. And it was so interesting looking at how the people of influence and authority treated him and talked to him. We don't need another Beatles, you're not going to play this slop, this noise. And despite seeing him break out of their first box, and despite the fact that he had proven himself in so many ways, they refused to see him outside of the version of him that they had created in their minds. And that struck me so much because throughout my life and in my career, though while I've had many different phases, some that have more global recognition than others, mass recognition than others, I should say, in this little niche corner of the internet, gaming corner. The truth is, people don't know what they want from you until you show them. And people always believe, except the rare few, the real believers among us, think that they know your best. And that you should just stick with that. Because most of the time, people cannot see you outside of what they can physically see in real time. And the professionals in Bob Dylan's life could not see him outside of this folk elitist bubble. And he had a choice to make, He could keep giving the people what they thought they wanted from him, which was for him to just stay in line and sing the songs that everybody knows over and over and over, or to show them what he really had inside, which was so much more. It transcends genre. He could have kept living and being ultimately what I would say is a shell of himself to appease people who thought that they knew better than he did about himself. People don't know what they want from you, aside from what they've already seen. And I've been wrestling with this thought a lot because of how people know me. You know, there's a small group of people who know me from my artistic videos that I started with on TikTok, how I grew my initial following. And then there's way, way, way more people who know me because of this game called Genshin Impact. This game that I struck gold with, really, career-wise, timing-wise. Couldn't have asked for a better start. And I had so much fun being a Genshin Impact content creator. But in my heart, I have moved on. I still love the game in many ways. It's more of a nostalgic love than an active one. And I will still play the Archon quest because I want to know what happens. But for a long time, I felt like I haven't been able to escape or get out of people's expectations of me to keep being that person. To keep being a Genshin creator, for better or for worse. Because everyone knows there's a lot of blood in the water in the Genshin creator community, which is really sad, but that's what happens in a competitive market. You know, it gets ugly. There's a lot of opinions. And for a while, as I've tried to teeter the line between reckless abandon of a safe career path and being my true self, I have found myself stretched thin and uninspired and lost and feeling like I am trying to be this version of myself doesn't really exist anymore. And every time I get one of those comments, where's Genshin? What happened to Genshin? Are you pulling for this character? What did you think of this? I'm like, I honestly wish I could meet you where you are. It would be easier that way. But that's not me. It ain't me, babe. And it seems silly to some degree to be this way over a game. But I felt, oh, the movie helped me step out of my own shadow a bit. In this version of myself that people want me to be. Not everyone, but the masses. The way people still see me, because that's my footprint. And I think I've gotten stuck feeling like I can only rise to that version of me, then anything else is falling short. But the truth is, I know who I am. And I know that I have so much more of a story to tell. And people don't know what they want from me until I give it to them. And that's true for any creative person and any person with dreams and goals that are not accepted by their family or by their friends. People who want to break the status quo in some way, even if it's just for themselves. And that's what I realized about Bob Dylan. Like, he got called all sorts of things, like a contrarian or a rebel or just a problem, someone who causes problems, when that's really never what it was. He didn't step away from folk music because he wanted to throw up the middle finger at folk music. It's because what he wanted to do transcends genre and boxes. And there was nothing left for him in folk music. Not at the time. He went back and he's made more folk albums since then, but accepting and embracing the fact that you will upset people and that people will look at you funny when you do something beyond what they expect of you, it frees you. And that's what Joan Baez, the folk singer who had an interesting path with, an interesting story. That's what she tells him at the end. It's one of the last, I think it might be one of the last lines of the movie. She goes, "Congrats, Bob, you won." And Bob, after getting reviled by much of the crowd, cheered on as well. But the front row people were not pleased with him, getting cans thrown at his head and getting screamed at by the people, and essentially saying his farewell to the folk scene. He says, "Well, what did I win?" It's hard to feel like a winner in that moment. And she said, "You're free. Your freedom from all of our shit." And it just hit me to my core. And it was what I needed to hear. Because, Bob Dylan goes electric. I think the album that he released during that time was one of the most records sold of all time. And he had to refuse the screaming. He had to reject the screaming around him and push through to make that record and to show people what he could be. He's not just a folk singer. He's Bob Dylan. He's a musician. That's all he ever says. That's all he says he wants to be. He says, "I want to be a musician. I just want to be a musician." And that's all I've ever wanted to be. I wanted to create and connect with people. And I've done that in different ways throughout my career. And I think for a long time, I've lived in my own shadow, in this version of me that's not even really real. The version of you that exists in other people's minds is false. It's a reflection of themselves. How people see you is ultimately, it really comes down to how they see their own reflection in your eyes. And when that changes, it's uncomfortable. It makes people uncomfortable sometimes. How do I say this? I've had so many labels attached to me in my career from various situations that I've been involved in, whether it's by my own choices or by people around me, by what is standard or what people expect. And the truth is, no one can tell me who I am. They can try. I can say something they don't like and they can attach some category to me to try to put me beneath them. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. I am who I am. And all I have to do is be that. Be true to it. Many times, I have had to make decisions in my career. Ones that people like, ones that people don't like. Some that have gotten me unearned praise. some that have gotten me labels attached to me that are just not true. And for a long time, I found myself cowering in fear at anything that might affect people's vision of me, the version of me, wanting to be understood, wanting to communicate well, but ultimately always having some inevitable miscommunication with people. And that has been one of the hardest parts of being in the public eye, is this desire to connect, this desire to be earnest, and eventually this realization that you can't really change how people perceive you. You can change how people see you, but you can't control it. And that was first it was a devastating realization. And then it was freedom, absolute freedom. Because I stopped trying to be what everyone else thinks that I'm supposed to be, thinks that I should be, thinks that I am. And I exist even now knowing that no one really knows me. Not online. They think they do. You know, you see pieces of someone and you think you have the whole. And that's inevitable. You know, there are people who really just see me as kind of a character, more of a character than a person. And it took me a long time to be okay with that. It took me a long time to get over the pain of being misunderstood. This desire to connect with people for, who knows what reason and in what way. And knowing that not that it's impossible, because it's definitely not impossible, but that I can only do so much, to reach out. And I can only be myself, truly. Anything else, any attempt to be somebody other than me is just going to leave me feeling hollow and false and directionless. I swear I did that. Oh, did I really do that crooked? Bro, no. Actually, it's okay. I can fix it. I think. Let's see. Yeah, I can fix it. In bringing it back to, creativity and what I make and who I am online, there's nothing for me to do except what comes from my heart. Even if it confuses people, even if it surprises people, even if it's received poorly or received without great praise, like, I dropped it. Stop. It disappeared, bro. No. Anyway, as I was saying, something that is both scary and liberating is knowing that only I can decide what's right for me in terms of my career. People can give me suggestions. People can give me requests. Other people, it's not to say other people don't have good ideas, but only I really know, because I'm the creative voice behind my content. So it's really only me who knows, who can make the right call. What other people want me to do is only a reflection of what they would do in my shoes. But the truth is, and this is not any sort of slight, they're not me. So does it really matter what they would do in my shoes? Not really. It's frightening. And I'm saying this and I'm expressing this not just for my sake, but for anyone else who's listening. It's scary to have creative control. But it's also liberating. And I have years and numbers to back up, to kind of act as a bit of an endorsement on my decision making. So I can't panic and just pan that off to somebody else. I gotta stick it out. I gotta do my thing, regardless of what anybody else thinks. And if it means quitting the thing that I am most known for, then so be it. As weird as that is to say. Realizing that no one is going to validate that decision for me, or tell me that it's the right thing, or tell me that it's okay, and it has to be me, has gone from being the most frightening thing to being the most liberating. And it was such a cathartic, emotional, fulfilling experience to see that in someone that I respect so much, whose story has meant so much to me over the years of my life, the one and only Bob Dylan. So, you should go see that movie, to put it lightly, even if you've never listened to a Bob Dylan song in your life. And I'll link my Bob Dylan playlist in the description so that you can listen to my favorite Bobby D songs. All right, I'm going to get started on these. I got to cut them short enough so that I can freaking game. I have to cut them straight. It's hard. It ain't me, babe. All right, I'm gonna shut up and just grind away at these nails for a while. It's a hard, it's a hard, it's a hard, it's a hard. Oh, I got so much glue on this finger. No, I hate that. I freaked it. I've taken it and I freaked it. This glue is all attached to my skin. We haven't even gotten to the fun part. Okay,
I'm just gonna move on from that for a while. I'm just gonna pretend like it's not happening so I don't panic. I'm panicking. I'm panicking. Makes me feel trapped, makes me feel stuck. Trying to be chill, talk like I'm giving comms. Okay. Okay, my finger is free. Thank God. Thank God. Okay, maybe I should give this camera a break so it can charge up. Yeah, let's do that actually. Take a little breather.
You're having me, Miss Cuthbert. Dream is dearest to my heart, are right here.
Well, I hope you keep on dreaming. It'll be 3 years before I finish medical school. Even then, there won't be any diamond sunbursts or marble halls.
I don't want sunbursts or marble halls. I just want you.
What do you know about Anne of Green Gables? What do you know about Anne of Green Gables? Too bad the third one sucks. Read the books. Okay, I gotta be careful.
I saved you the boring part, and I did the other hand off camera. I finished Anne of Avonlea and cried my eyes out, and then I watched the Madame Pompadour episode of Doctor Who. Honestly, I think the show is just now starting to hit its stride. My plan for my nails is I'm going to do just a dark blue base, like a midnight blue, and then I think I want to do a kind of a, what color is this? Like a, kind of like a sapphire, aqua, light blue. And then I'm going to finish it with a tip, frost the tips with kind of like this purely gel. Or should I do that underneath? I don't know. Well, we're starting with the blue, so that's easy enough. Usually I do one hand per day, then I'll do the next hand on the next day, but for the sake of this video, I will do it all in one. It's always a bit nerve-wracking to get to this phase, because like you've done all this work and you just hope that you like the end result. Because that's blue, you know, that's blue. This little lamp has made my life a lot easier, though, I will say. I might have made my middle finger a little bit shorter than the rest, but I think that's okay for the sake of my ranked matches. I love watching stuff when you get older, like things that you liked when you were a kid, and just seeing how well they hold up, and then how different your experience with them is watching them as an adult. Like the things I loved about Anne of Green Gables, I would say I still love them for that reason, but I found so many more reasons to adore them. The adult storylines, I appreciate them more. Miss Brooke is an older, the principal of the school that Anne teaches at, and she has so much bitterness, and it's very slowly revealed that it's all just come from this sense of hopelessness and feeling that her life has been essentially wasted, and that she spent so much of her life feeling unloved and unappreciated, and has built this hard shell around herself to protect her from ever feeling anything. There's a line and says, "You've shut out life and now life is shutting you out." That is a real thing that happens to people, and it makes me want to be more careful about isolating myself, which I have a tendency to do. I don't have a lot of friends. I have a few dear friends. Just a very small handful. And It'd be pretty lonely if I lost them, so it takes effort as an adult to seek out new friends, to take the risk and the leap and ask someone in one way or another to be your friend, to not just be a perpetual lonely wallflower. So yeah, that story resonated with me a lot more this time around than it has in the past. As a kid, I was just happy when she stopped getting in Anne's way. Yeah, I usually don't have the patience to sit here all this time, and corset is still on miraculously. That's kind of crazy. Okay, there's the blue. Blue layer is on. Now let's go for the blue gel, or the blue cat eye, which I'm just gonna do a very typical glow. Oh yeah, this is gonna look great. Oh yeah, this looks like, it looks wintry without being like super charisma, you know? I feel like I always settle with my first couple nails instead of really pushing through and making sure they look the way I want them to. I don't know how to fix my sleep schedule anymore. I've never had a bad sleep schedule sustained for this long. I mean, I'm getting my 8 hours, but when I'm getting them is no good. It's hanging long. And yet I'm still doing it off camera. I'm so sorry. My hand's gotten a lot steadier since I started doing this. Used to have real shaky hands. No unexpected side effect of a new hobby. Man, it's hard to get that gel, that cat eye, like the jewel effect, unless you have a lot of gel on your nails. Okay, that looks good. Full cure, yay! I think I want to do the frosty tips, but I guess I'm just super unfamiliar with it, so I feel like just the sparklier the better. I'm gonna try the colorful one first. If I hate it, I'm gonna go to the silver. It's thick, oh my gosh, it's so thick. Holy crap. Is this gonna work? It's so dense. Oh. Well, it works, but it kind of just, it's like there's too much gel, there's too much sparkle to gel. So it's not really giving that like frosty look. Yeah, it gets just like too thick. Okay, all right, new plan. I need to mix base coat and the gel polish and see if I can create like a more fluid texture. I don't know how this got so messy. Base, bit of blooming, and then the silver. As good a brush as ever. As any, I mean. Well, maybe not. Okay, I think what it is I only want the silver on the top. I don't really want it at the base of my nail. So then how do I do that in a way that's not gonna look weird and streaky? I guess I could take base coat and like put it over top maybe? I'm wondering if like the streaks will kind of dissipate. Oh, here we go. That's kind of working. I don't know if it has much effect though. Okay, I think I kind of got it.
But I still think it looks kind of uneven. Okay, I like it. I think I got it. And we're back. Here's what we're looking at. Actually, I could just show here. It's a little messy still because it's on the hands, but I think I am gonna do just a few metal charms. I am debating between these right here and these. These kind of look like snowflakes, and there's these really, really tiny ones. And I kind of like all of them. I'm just trying to decide how much of a, how big do I want my nail to feel. Got him. I was wondering why I was having so much trouble. Okay, I think I do like the idea of these on my little thumbs. And these, I like them, but I feel like they're just a bit big. I don't know if I want to deal with that. So I think I'll go these little tiny guys on here, and then these in the middle. I usually use builder gel for this. I just feel like it's the easiest to work with. People make the mistake of just not using enough glue or gel. I feel like that always causes problems. There's the thing about charms though, you put on one, you're like, I could do a few more. Ooh, I've eaten 3 Werther's candies since I've been sitting here. I don't even know what time it is. It's getting pretty late. But late is relative, is it not? Okay, I'm just gonna use top coat to just paint around. Make sure I locked in all the corners. This is a mistake I made the first time I did charms, is I didn't really like seal the charm, so it caught on stuff all the time. It was very irritating. Christmas time is gone. Okay, that note, let's seal this hand. Be done with it properly. Sorry, I'm watching a lot of British TV right now. As tedious as this is, it's a good practice in just being able to make myself move slowly. Because I'm a very, I stress out about time often. I just feel like I never have enough of it. I think it lends itself to like almost a self-sabotage where I just freeze and I freeze up and I end up losing more time than I ever would have if I had just slowed down, taken a deep breath and taken things one step at a time. So one of my goals for this next year is just to be able to recognize when I'm freaking out, and be able to respond to it with wisdom, and not just with like dopamine self-medicating, if you know what I mean. I look like I'm chilling on my phone or, watching something when internally I'm just screaming at myself, screaming at my tasks, and it's just, it's unhealthy, so it's something I'm working on. I'm hoping to be able to improve this year. I'll get a lot more done if I can just breathe. Breathe, slow down. It's not doomsday, I remember in university always looking at my long list of like projects due, papers due, tests and just all the things that needed to get done. And I remember always looking at the long list and being like, there's no way all this gets done. Or more like, I don't see how this is going to get done. But then I'd always say, I know I'm going to get to that date, like the end of the semester, and it's all going to be finished. And I'll have my answers then. So I don't know when I lost the ability to do that. Maybe because back then there were due dates and outside pressures, like professors and the desire for good grades. Like there were, peer pressure as well. Maybe not inadvertent, more like, or yes, inadvertent. Like other people who were in the same boat as you. When it's just you, making decisions for yourself, it's harder to believe, I think, that it can all be done. This is the first time I've ever sat down and done my nails like all in one go. I usually break it up into steps. Like I'll work for a bit, then I'll come out here, I'll do one phase, so I'll work for a bit, do one phase. Okay. I gotta clean my hands, there's crap on it. It's sliding, stop. Ah! Ugh, I've definitely gotten more dexterous, but geez, not dexterous enough. Why is it sliding so much? You're builder gel. Hold yourself together. Okay, starting over. My gosh. Are you builder gel? Oh, that's top coat. Oh, okay. Okay, it's all coming together now. My left hand, she does her best, but geez. Jeez Louise. These are great. I feel like they're wintry, but not too like ho ho ho. Asher has sat with me the entire time as I've been doing this. I had like a coughing fit and he sprinted over here and made sure I was good. I always wonder about that because cats will run over if they think that you're in danger or that you're hurt. But like, it's not like they can do anything, right? Oh my gosh, I got it perfectly. Yeah. I'm fading. I feel like when I'm hungry, I'm just useless. No energy, no smile, no talking, no social, no jokes. Should have taken a break. But I'm almost done. I'm literally on the last step. Literally. Wittowy? I'm actually losing it maybe. Get these nice and clean. Yeah, okay. And the top coat. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching. It's a bit of an experimental video. What? Oh, part of this brush got cured. That's cool. Real sharp of me to leave it out while I was using cure lamps. Yep. Oh wow, this gel, oh shoot, I messed up. I just realized this gel that like really spilled over onto my hand. How do I fix? I clip it. I shave it. Ugh, I hate the feeling of having gel like glued to my hand. Get off. Ugh. Ugh. Let's not consume uncured gel. That'd be smart. Smart not to. Oh, almost there. Yeah, okay. Oh, I'm not going to reach my reading goal this year. I just realized. I had said 25 books, and I ripped through probably 15 in the first few months, and then I got stuck on Way of Kings and Red Rising. Both of which I have continued, and I finished Red Rising, and I actually read Golden Sun, and I'm reading, oh, what's the third one called? Whatever the third one's called, I'm reading that as well. I just couldn't decide if it was good or not. More like I couldn't decide if it was resonating with me enough to continue. It kind of lost me somewhere in like the games, like the early stages of the inner student war thingy, like the training. the scope of the book just expanded very quickly. So, but I'm so glad I pushed through because I've absolutely loved it. But yeah, I'm at 23 out of 25. So unless I sit down and read 2 books in the next whatever date it is, it's probably 3 days now from December, I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. No. Did I skip a nail? Oh, I totally did. Yep, I completely skipped my pointer. Come here, little pointer. I'm sorry. I took it to my penis and I freaked it. I haven't made my mom should I keep it. In that song, are they talking? Is it a girl or is it the penthouse? I took it to my penthouse and I freaked it. I haven't made my mind up. Should I keep it? That would imply that he's talking about the girl, right? Or is he talking about the penthouse and just using bad grammar? Never know. I took it to my penthouse and I freaked it. La-dee-da-dee-da. Sorry, that's very inappropriate. Literally last nail. Thank you, God. For this Sunday evening and the time that I have to do something like this. Something silly. Full cure. Full cure. I'm just gonna full cure everything again. Just make sure. And I will clean up as I do it. Like the multitasker I am. Forgot about my safety goggles. What a shame. I kind of feel cool wearing them. Don't really match my outfit though. There's some blue that I cannot get off. Okay, let me wash my hands. Ready, guys? I wonder how well you can see them in this light. I'm quite happy, quite pleased. I'll show in the camera just in case. They're sparkly, they're festive, they're fun, they're simple, but it's nice to look at, which is what I really want out of my nails at the end of the day. Okay, well, thank you so much for watching. Let me get a camera, nice shot. Thumbnail, get it? Okay, that's enough thumbnail shots. Okay, well, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed my little yap session. It was nice to get some of that stuff off my chest and just talk about someone and something that means so much to me and has inspired me in many ways that hopefully I laid it out pretty clearly. But yeah. If you like this, let me know. I'd be totally down to do it again. I'd probably just do only one hand so that I don't sit here for 4.5 hours on any given day. Oh, I just realized my audio wasn't recording. Well, it's recording through here. Okay, well, I'll record this last bit. Yeah, hopefully the next video on this channel will not take 3 months. Only time will tell. All right. Well, bye-bye. Thank you. Go learn something new.